All right, so we're live. Hi, everybody. Welcome here. We are sort of doing a live podcast. So those of you who are listening just audio only, know we have a supplemental video. It'll be on my YouTube channel as well. And we'll have a really special PDF downloadable bonus. So for all you visual people like me, we have all of these 5 beliefs and everything else broken down in a PDF guide. So not to worry, we have it for you in the show notes. So before we continue on that note, I want to introduce my dear friend, Theresa Loe, to the podcast. Hi, Theresa.
Hi, I'm so excited to be here. This is going to be really fun.
Oh, so the reason why I invited Theresa on, and by the way, I haven't done a live podcast in I don't even know how long, so I'm excited. We'll see what happens.
I'm a guinea pig.
Yes. And honestly, for those of you who are listening to the episode after we've recorded it live, we're going to probably save some of the questions to the end so we can, really dive in deep together. And then if you have questions, if you are on live, you can just put like question and we'll do our best to answer as many of them as possible. So before we dive in, I want to kind of introduce who Theresa is to me and share her with you. So Theresa and I have been very close friends for the last, I don't know, 5 years now.
5 years, yeah.
And she's also somebody who is a highly sought after team expert. So some of the biggest brands, influencers, experts that you see out there in the marketing world, Theresa has probably worked with many of them. And so we're not only on her because she's one of my closest friends, but also like we have her time right now. So this is so invaluable. I'm so grateful that you're spending this time with me and my audience. And so I want to just kind of open up and let people know like how you got into working with teams, because you've been at PBS like producer, you've worked in TV, so you've had such an amazing background. Like you're a gardener, you had one of the top podcasts in gardening and food. So like, tell people a little bit more about you and your background. I'm so happy you're here.
Thank you. Well, I'm happy to be here too. So yeah, I do have kind of an unusual background. For 9 years, I was the co-executive TV producer for the top organic gardening show on PBS. And in our digital world, most of your followers probably either connect with digital brands or they have digital brands. And in our world, what my title would have been is integrator, but at a super high level. So when we as business owners are creating a product and we're launching it, in the TV world, every episode is the product and we launch every episode. So as the co-executive TV producer, I was the second in command to the executive producer. I was second in line and I had to manage the team, everything that we were doing for every episode. And we launched 26 episodes a season. So it was intense. So I became a really ninja project manager. And I learned about managing teams as well. Fast forward, I started appearing on the show, got my own following. It was an organic gardening show. I am a homesteader in Los Angeles. So I broke off and left the show and started my own business, and it was immediately successful. So people started asking me how I started my business. And I realized as soon as I got them successful, they had team issues. And it's funny how when it's something that you naturally do, you don't realize that other people don't naturally do it too. So I shifted about 3 years ago, all my coaching to the process of helping people streamline the back end of their digital brand and build self-managed teams so that they can fully step into the CEO position. And I've gotten to work with some of the top digital brands in the industry because you and I were in some of the top masterminds. I have connections to some of the top brands. And when they saw what I was doing, I snuck behind the scenes and helped them clean up their business just so it could be the most efficient possible. They can have their stellar people help them go to the next level.
Yeah. And so I know a lot of my people in my community are not necessarily at the top level, that they're maybe considering starting a business, or they are just starting to get the wheels in motion. And I know people come to me constantly who are like, I'm feeling blocked. Like, I'm not making the money. I know I want to grow, I want to expand, but I'm not making the money I require to like keep this thing going. And sometimes what I discover are these like hidden beliefs that are stopping them from actually growing, which means like hiring a team, getting some help, not being the person who's wearing all of the hats. If you're on live with us, put a 1. If you're wearing all the hats as the marketer, as the podcast producer, as the image maker, as the social media person, as the personality, the email blaster, like I could go on. If you are this person, you are in the right place. So Theresa's going to go over some of the 5 beliefs preventing you from hiring. And we want to go over to make sure we have a stellar and affordable team. So I'm going to be quiet and I'm going to let you kind of roll with it because I think you're just the best with this.
Oh, awesome. Well, first of all, that's actually why I started talking about hiring, because that's, you may already, what I was working with people who already had a team and they were trying to get them aligned and get them to the next level. And I realized that a lot of people didn't even have those stellar powerhouse people. And I have a very unique process that I do for hiring. And so I have started to help people with their very first or their next hire at that level. And so that's really what we're going to be talking about today, are those beliefs that are holding you back from making that first step into stepping into that CEO position. Because if you can get over these little hurdles, the sky's the limit for you. So the very first
And I will say, Theresa has helped me tremendously in this arena as well. So like I can speak and vouch for her personally as well. So.
Yes, and I should say that these beliefs are hitting people who have never hired, but they also are the same beliefs that CEOs at multi-7 and even multi-8 figures that I have worked with, they still are holding on to some of these beliefs. And so we have to work over, mindset is a big part of being an entrepreneur. It's part of our growth. And so I don't want anyone to go, oh man, like I'm totally screwed. You're normal. You're just human and you're normal. And so we just have to get over these beliefs, and it doesn't matter what level you're at, you can have this. So the first one though is to believe I'm not ready. And this definitely hits you when you've never hired before, but it also hits people who already have people on their team and they're like, I'm not ready to bring on someone at that next level. So when you are feeling like you have that belief, every belief causes an action. And the action is that you sit around and wait. You wait to feel ready. You're like, okay, I'm not ready. Maybe in 6 months I'll be ready. Maybe in 3 months I'll be ready. And so what that means is that because you're waiting, you're still wearing all the hats. You're still doing all the things because you just are waiting for the magic moment. And what I tell people is that I'm going to tell you the truth of what you need to know in order to step forward, that you're going to either learn now or you're going to learn the hard way. I'm going to tell you the truth. And the truth
please, thank you. And like, that's what I love about you. You're so down to earth and you're like, look, I've made all the mistakes. Like, you don't have to do this. I love it.
Right. And that's the thing, is like, we're all human. We all make these mistakes. So the truth is, you're never going to feel ready. You're just never going to feel magically flip a switch and go, I'm ready now. It's like when I'm sure you experienced this when we were thinking about having kids, we kept waiting and going, when will we be ready? And then you realize you're never going to be ready. You just have to make the leap, right? So it's the same thing here. You're never going to magically feel ready. So what I tell people is that we have to go into a mindset practice. And I'm sure you've talked about this before on your podcast about be, do, have. So a solopreneur will think that in order to be the CEO that I want to be, I will need to have people on my team, and then I will magically get to the next level, right? And what they start doing is thinking that they need to be somebody. They're not thinking about who they need to be in order to get to that next level. So what we have to do is step into our future self. You have to start being that future person now. So what you need to be asking yourself is, who does my business need? Who do I need to be in order to get to that level? And that means hiring someone now in order to get what you want. They're waiting. What people actually do is they're actually in the have, do, be. They're thinking, when I have the next level, then I will hire. And I want you to flip it and be at that level now in your head and hire now so that you can have the next level business.
Right. So like, I know so many people are like, I want to have $100,000 business. And it's like a huge goal. Okay. So how would $100,000 Emily, how would $100,000 Annie, Sue, how would $100,000 whoever react in this situation? Would they wait and do everything themselves, or would they have somebody doing something for them? Yeah, they would have somebody doing something for them.
Exactly. And so it's just a little shift that you need to step into your future self. And I know you talk about that all the time with your meditations. They have all those resources, but that's really the key if you're thinking I'm not ready. All right. So the second belief is I can't afford a team. And it doesn't matter if you're thinking I can't afford to hire one person or I can't afford to hire a stellar person. This belief will really, really hold you back. So when you are thinking I can't afford a team, the action that you take is you just keep doing it all yourself. You just keep taking on more and more. And we know there's only so many hours in the day. We know that we can only do so much. And yet we keep talking ourselves out of taking the step because we think we can't afford it. So the truth is, you can't afford not to. You're actually losing money by not taking some of those lower end things off of your plate so that you can work on the higher end things. You're stifling your growth because you're doing all the things. You're spread too thin. So one of the things that that I think is really important for people to understand is the value of your time as a CEO. And I told you that I have a training that I gave you that you can share with your audience that is a time audit. And
I promise right now.
Yeah, perfect. And so a time audit, people were like, oh yeah, I've done that. This is a little different. This is a training and a worksheet. And what I teach you is to understand the column or the actions that you need to stay in, what's your lane in order to get to that 100,000 mark or whatever your number is. You work out the numbers so that you really understand the value of your time. Yeah. Because if you're spending 8 hours a day on $10 activities, you're never going to reach that. At the end of 8 hours, you've really only made $80.
Right. Here, that's like the mind-blowing thing. That's what helped me to hire somebody because, as the CEO, even though my business was still in its infancy, like just getting started, I was the most highly paid employee of my company. And so like, even at the time when I was doing one-to-one sessions at $125 for a 90-minute session, that's a lot of money. So if I'm paying myself, which I wasn't because I wasn't bringing any money because I was too busy working in my business than with customers, I'm literally like just throwing $125 out the window versus like, okay, so if you had one paying client for $125, that could pay for like maybe possibly 5 to 10 hours of work that somebody could do something for you. And I'm like, oh my God, like it was just a total reframe I had to use to help myself like get help.
Exactly. And the thing is everybody does this when you up level your business. If you suddenly have a big surge in growth, now you need to up level the things that you're doing because there's more on your plate. So you need to pull off the things that are the lower activities. So every time you have a big growth, you need to kind of do a reassessment. So it's not like, I'm magically a unicorn and I've never done this. We all do it. Yeah. We all sit there and go, I'm just going to run in here and do it myself. And that's not the answer because you're actually leaving money on the table.
Yes. And I find myself like, I'm just going to just quickly fix something. I'm like, they're watching me. They're going to tell me like, and I know it's like, I can hear like, ching, 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 like, no, Emily.
Yeah. Oh, I know. I know. Even on my own team, if I start to do it, they'll say, there's this podcast you should listen to by this girl, Theresa Loe, who will tell you that's not the way to do it. So like, I'm guilty too. We're all guilty. Yeah. It's a habit. It's just a habit that we do. Okay. So the third belief that we need to get over is it's too hard to find good people. People will say this to me all the time. Like, you know what? It's just too hard to find good people these days. I want to counter that. I help people find stellar people, powerhouse people all day, every day. That's what I do. I was a powerhouse team member for the organization that I worked for, and I can help other people find those for their organization. So that absolutely is not true. So the action that people take when they have this belief, though, is they'll hold on too long to the wrong people and they overpay the people that they have. It's like they think, well, I'll throw money at it and that's how I will find good people. Mm-hmm. So they have overpriced VAs, or they keep someone doing really menial tasks and they're paying them $40, $50, $60 an hour. And that's not the lane that someone should be in for that. So the counter to that, the shift that I want to make and the truth that I want to tell people is, number one, those people are out there. You can find them and you can find them affordably. But Beyond that, something that no one told me that when I started my own digital brand is that there are different categories of hires that you can make. And what I would hear people talk about is hiring someone at $50 an hour, like a specialized VA. And there are actually other options. But I first want to say, I'm not knocking a specialized VA. I hire specialized VAs. They're in
also, for anybody, VA is a virtual assistant for anybody who's
absolutely sorry. Yes, the virtual assistant. So I hire them myself, but that is one category. And what people were doing is they were hiring someone who was very specialized, very skilled at a high level, and they were putting them into positions where they really could get someone at a lower price range. Yeah. So let's talk about the three. You want to talk about the three different categories?
Yeah.
Okay. So the first category is this specialized VA. So what that is a virtual assistant who actually, they are an entrepreneur. They have a business and they go and have packages that they help people with. So this would be someone like a Facebook ads manager or a launch manager, right? They have a package, you pick from that package, and they know their stuff. They may know more than you, and they come in and they do that specialized service. You're purchasing a service, but the thing to keep in mind, they have other clients and they're doing it for other people. So yes, you will pay a higher price, very much of a premium, and there is a place for that. So that's one category. Mm-hmm. The second category is if you go to an agency. So this is the solution that people were like, okay, I don't want to try and find somebody. I don't know how to find somebody. So I'm going to go to an agency. I'm going to give them my criteria, and it's like a matchmaking service. They go find that person and you pay through the agency, and that person works for you. The problem with that model is it's difficult to grow with that person. So what a lot of people don't understand is they may pay someone $40 an hour through that agency, and they have a stellar powerhouse person. That person may only be getting a fraction of that amount. I have many people who have come to me from different agencies, which I will not name, and they were paying $40, $45 an hour. The person was stellar and they wanted to bring them on full time, but they found out that that person was really only getting $22 an hour. And then they're like, well, wait, I could pay them $22 an hour and get them for twice the hours. You can't. You got them through the agency. You signed a contract. You have to buy them out if you want to do that. So you need to know that going in, that if you want to take that person and pay them that what they would have made anyway, bring on more hours, you have to pay $10,000, $15,000 to buy them out of their contract.
Yeah.
I've had clients who have had to let go stellar people because they couldn't afford that, and other people who have actually bought them out of the contract. Wow. So you need to know that going in. Okay. That's option 2. Option 3 is finding someone yourself, doing a job posting and interviewing and hiring the person. This is the one that terrifies the heck out of everybody, but it is the way to be a CEO and have someone come in, grow with you in the company, and you can find stellar people for very affordable prices. So that's the third option.
Yes. And I think that this is also really important to know that I have done number 3. I've also done number 1. I've never done the agency, but I have hired specialized people for Facebook ads, for marketing. I've hired them for producing my podcast. And there is a great benefit to doing that. They are completely trained. You don't have to teach them how to do anything. But as my business has grown, we've actually realized that it's actually more beneficial for us to do it all in-house, meaning a member of my team is the one who's doing it. So training somebody on my team to do Facebook ads. They may not be the top Facebook ad specialist person, but they're also not getting paid $2,000+ a month.
A month, yes.
So
right, for a few hours of work, right.
Right, yeah.
And they're in it and they own it. But the other thing too, when you said they come in fully trained, something I need to say on that.
Okay.
They have training in the thing. Like a lot of people will say, I'm going to hire someone who has done, let's say, project management, and they bring them in. Every company is very unique in your processes, in your product. And when you bring that person in, there is still a ramp up period.
Totally.
And for some people, it is way longer than for others. It depends on the complexity and how streamlined you are on the backside of your business. The other thing to keep in mind is that if you are bringing someone in and you're going to invest in training them to handle something for you, and you want to, the company starts growing and you want them to grow with you, if you have brought in a specialized VA, they typically can't grow with you. They have other clients. And something that happens very often is, as they get really good because they're learning from you, they're learning from their other clients, they get really ninja, their prices go up, which totally get that. They should go up. And secondly, their time goes down, or they become an agency, which means you hire them, but they have other people than them touching your things, which nothing wrong with that either, but people need to know that. So one trick you can do if you're trying to see like, well, could I afford to bring this person on full time? Let's say when you're looking at their hourly rate, you take their hourly rate and you multiply it by 2080. And that will give you the average of what their yearly salary would be. So someone who is charging $50 an hour, if they worked for you full time, they would make about $104,000 a year. And I don't think you want to pay someone $104,000 a year for managing your inbox, right? You need to think of like what we're really talking here for that hour. Now, specialized people, absolutely, they come in, they do that service. But if you want them to be doing all the things, it may not be the best value for that amount of money.
Yeah. And Annie just said something that leads us into our next point, which she said, I feel like crap because I hired the wrong people and I fear making the same mistake. This is the perfect up. Thank you.
Perfect segue for the next belief. So the next belief is I've had bad luck in the past, therefore I can't. So we're gonna answer that one right now. So if you have this belief, you're like, oh man, I totally blown it. First of all, you didn't blow it. You learned a lesson. There is no fail. There is just a lesson to be learned. I have made my own share of mistakes. I have hired in all three categories and tested out and been my own guinea pig. I've had massive fails and massive success. And so it's just a learning experience. So don't beat yourself up. Okay. But when you have this belief, what happens is that you keep people on the team that maybe you shouldn't keep on. You try to force someone to be something that you really want them to be when that's just not in their personality and their character. So the shift that I want everyone to make here is to understand that hiring is a skill. Okay. We spent time learning how to do webinars, how to create a product, how to do Facebook Live, whatever it is we learned social media. This is just another skill that you need to learn to put into your tool belt as a CEO. Learning this skill is going to have to come sooner or later with your business. And the sooner you learn it, the less pain you have. So if you've already experienced pain, this is a really, the lesson in it is you don't want to experience pain anymore. You just have to learn this skill. It's just a skill set. So what I say to people is, I teach this a little differently. I approach hiring from a little bit different angle. Most people will say, or you'll read an article like, how do I hire? And they'll say, do a job posting and have them turn in their resume, and you read over everything and you pick who you're going to do and you're going to interview. I hire to character first, to resume last. So to me, if I can find someone who is a powerhouse type person, they are responsive, responsible, problem solver, they really take initiative, I can teach them anything, but I can't teach character, right? So all those character traits, that's what I look for in a hire. I've brought in people to top companies that we know in the industry, and they had zero experience and they excelled. And the reason I do that is because I am a perfect example of that. When I went to that PBS show, I started as the script writer. And within 3 months of working there, I was doing field producing. Within another 3 months, I was second in command. I was a go-getter type person, and they just kept giving me opportunities, and I kept taking it until I was at the top. So that is exactly the type of person you bring in. So what you want to do is be hiring more to character, resumes last. We can teach them anything.
Yeah. And I've had that happen too, where I hired, I went through an interview process for my first virtual assistant, and I made the mistake first, and I hired somebody who was just like me, I'm an ENFP, so we're both like golden retrievers. Like, what else is exciting and new? And instead of hiring somebody who can help with the details, we're like all like, next big idea, and nothing got done.
Yes.
And so I realized, okay, I can't hire myself because I am not the person for this role, which you have helped me with tremendously to identify the exact personality type in addition to the right character that I'm looking for to match me, because I am different than you. We both are functioning differently. So what I need is literally the opposite of what you need in your business.
Yes, exactly.
So you helped me with that so much, and hiring people based on personality and literally training them the skill set is so much easier than saying, oh, you have the perfect resume, but like your personality sucks. We have completely different core family values. Like, you know, like everything is wrong. Like, and also, when this podcast goes live, you'll notice the week before. So I think it's like actually next week's podcast, I talk about finding the right alignment for your team as well. So this is exactly what I'm talking about in my podcast. You're talking about personality type and those core values. And it's like, so I'm like a woo-woo, and a lot of my audience are woo-woos. And so like it never worked for me to hire people who didn't speak my language. So part of my hiring process, it weaves in like, so tell me about your favorite crystal, and like, you know, talking about those things. So like, I know that they're not going to think that what I do is totally weird and out there, because it doesn't help my business move forward, and they're not going to be a good fit for my personality.
Exactly. Perfect. That's a perfect example. The exercises that I take people through is to get really crystal clear on what that is for you. And you don't want to hire someone who's exactly like you, because then you still have the gaps, right? We all have gaps. There's things we're good at and things we're not. You want someone who fills those gaps for you, especially if they're going to be working closely with you or they're your very, very first hire. You want to have someone who balances you, is not a clone of you. People will say, I just need to clone myself. Well, you need to clone what you were doing, but not you need to be in the CEO and let someone fill in the places that you're not good. And we should probably tell people, you and I are absolutely exact opposites in personality. Right. And that's why we get along so well. We met like 5-6 years ago, and every time we go to an event together, we would sit next to each other, because I would be analyzing, and you would be doing your woo, and we were like perfect match. Like, I push, you pull, I push.
Yeah,
we're a match for each other.
Yeah, exactly. So good.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So let's look at the next one. So the last belief that I wanted to cover is when people have the belief that they have to manage the team. Okay, that if you are feeling that you have to manage the team, then your day looks like figuring out what everyone's going to do, handing it off to them, and then you start to go work on something, and then they check all the boxes, and they come back and go done, and then you're like, oh, you have to stop what you're doing and go do it. Or you are giving them something, and then you're like, did they do it? Did they do it? I have to check. And then they didn't do it right. And then you're just like, I'm going to do it myself. That's managing the team. What we want is to completely shift that, because if you're managing the team as the CEO, something's wrong. Yeah. So what I teach people how to do is how to have a self-managed team. And what this is all about is accountability. So that means that if you do first bring in the right people, that's the first step. You have to have that right person. Then you can get them to take on accountability. So what people don't understand is there's really two different types of people that you can hire. There's what I call the doers, the box checkers, and there's the drivers, the person who will be the lifeguard of what you hand them. And what we want to do is shift from box checkers to drivers. And I have to say, like, there are instances where there are certain jobs within your business that are box checking activities. And if you are just getting started and you've only made, let's say like $20,000 this year, and last year, and you're just getting started, then you probably do just need a box checker just to take some of the little things off of your plate. I have a box checker in my business. I have a graphic artist who she works under my podcast manager, and she's just handed, here's all the graphics to make for the week. She checks all the boxes and she hands them back. That's a doer. What we want, though, when we're growing, is to have a driver. Driver is someone who, if you look at all the puzzle pieces and all the things you could hand over, when you hand that to them, they are becoming the lifeguard of that thing. So they're watching it, they're owning it, they're making sure everything happens so that you don't have in your head, like, is it getting done? Is it getting done? They own that piece of the puzzle.
Yes. And I think for me, when I can just kind of feel that, so because I'm a feeler.
I'm a thinker.
When I feel that there's a component of my business that somebody else is watching, managing, caring for so that I don't personally have to, it opens up my energy for doing way more high level work. So like all the meditations that everyone like knows and loves. And when I go on live and I'm really inspired, I'm teaching something, they're like, oh my God, this is so, that's because there's somebody who's managing so many like little nitty gritty things that my brain, like if I have 100 units of energy each day, they're managing a ton of it. So I don't have to spend my 100 units on like little tasks and even checking up on them. Like, did you do the thing?
Yeah. Or making all the decisions. So there's a real thing. This decision fatigue is a real thing. Like it's scientifically proven. We only have so many decisions we can make. That's why people like Steve Jobs wore the same thing every day. He didn't want to use up his decision-making process with figuring out what to wear. Some people like eat the same thing on Monday and on Tuesday, like whatever it is, so that they have less decisions. You really do have a finite amount. So if you're spending your whole morning answering everyone's question, then you go to sit down and do your work, you've got nothing left.
Yeah.
And you make the big decisions in your business that you might need to make.
Well, a funny example of this, the time we're recording this, last week was Intuition Week for me. And my bathroom is getting renovated and the painter was here about like making some painting decisions. And I literally, she asked me about what color and I was like, I honestly can't make a decision right now. And so she brought paint examples and I was like, okay, that is the, and then she's like, I think we should. And so I'm like, thank you. I literally can't make a decision right now. I'm just like, I'm so focused on other things. My energy I can't help you.
Yeah. As a mom, my kids will say, what's for dinner? And it's like, I got nothing. I don't know. You have to plan it ahead. You can't do it, right?
I want to hear, because I know that we have a ton of live people on, and obviously this is a podcast, so people are going to be, listening to and watching the recording after. I would love to see, just even putting in the number 2, and if you're following this, if it's feeling good. And honestly, like the reason why I wanted to have Theresa too is to show you that like there are some really easy ways that you can overcome all of these beliefs, all of these obstacles, and get yourself into a really good position where you're saving money in your business and you're making more money in your business. So I don't know if this is a good opportunity I don't know if you'd be able to like show them a little bit more about how they can do it for themselves, but
I'm going to share here. I just have to say, this is StreamYard. We're using StreamYard.
StreamYard, yeah.
This is StreamYard. I said StreamYard. Yeah. StreamYard. It's very cool.
It is. And I want to, while you're doing that, I'm going to answer a question. Somebody had said, isn't this choice of who to hire an intuition-based process? It is, but it isn't. But also, I want to give that to Theresa because, while you can obviously see, like, I'm like the woo of the two of us, she's also quite woo-woo in her process. So would you mind sharing a little bit like of your niche stuff? I don't, because I am my followers are not so much woo. So I don't actually tell them that they're doing a woo thing, but they actually are. So don't tell anybody. But my process is that when I say people have to get crystal clear on who they're hiring, I actually make them envision the person and actually like picture them. And the reason I tell them to do that is because then when that person comes through and they see it, they'll go, oh, there they are, right? It also allows you to attract that person. Yeah. And so a big part of what I teach people when you're trying to hire is that you have to attract them. People go, I'm going to go out and find that person. No. We're going to attract that person. So we're going to attract them with our marketing, messaging type techniques for writing the most perfect job post, but we're also going to attract them a little bit with the woo and making sure that you are crystal clear in seeing what that person is for you. Yes, because it's the same way with making money. It's the same way with attracting a team member. You're not going out there having to search through a needle in a haystack, which I know we're going to talk about. But it's pulling them in with your energy. So I want to share something with you guys. I'm going to add this to the stream. I think they can all see it. Yes.
Yeah.
Cool.
This is just this is a really cool setup, the way you're able to do this.
I know, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's really cool. Okay. So
the how part, like, how are we actually doing? Like, great, you bust the beliefs, but like, how do you actually?
Yeah. So if anyone is looking for how that now they know that they need to do this, and now they're looking for like, okay, great. So now what do? I actually pulled out. So I do a lot of one-on-one coaching, and I do a lot of group coaching with the high level people. But what I was finding that so many people just didn't even know how to do hire the first person or their next person and get that perfect person. And even people who had maybe 10 people on their team, only one of them was good. And I don't mean good, like, but they weren't aligned.
Yeah.
And so they needed to know this process too, because they were just kind of winging it. So I created a program, Team Up, which is Team Up Like a Boss. And it teaches people how to find that most aligned person that's perfect for you and perfect for where you're headed in the business, and how to find that person who is a powerhouse team member. So what I do is I actually, I'm going to scroll down here. I want to explain something. I want to explain how this is different.
That was my face, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Where is it? You were one of my, yeah, there she is. That's so funny. You're one of my testimonials. So what's different about the way I do things? And it is the biggest piece is that I really do have you attract. It's really about attraction methodology. So that is this first piece down here with the heart. It's really about, let me move this up just a smidgen. It's really about using some marketing techniques to be able to have that person see your post when you put it out there and have them instantly go, oh, I'm perfect for this job. So they have to do that first. They have to see what you put out there and know that they are the perfect match. So that's how we attract them. And then,
sorry to interrupt you. Just for the people who are just audio only, the website we'll have in the show notes. It's emilyarons.com/teamup.
Perfect. Okay, perfect. So that's the first step, right? We're going to put this out into the world, and we want that perfect person to go, oh, that's me. That's like the perfect position for what I'm looking for. And now with everything that's happened in the last year, there are so many people who are looking for work. So even if you're just looking for something that's a part-time small position, there are people who are home with their kids, who used to work in corporate, who don't have a job, who are stellar skilled, who would love to have that opportunity. Yeah. So this is about you throwing that out into the world and attracting that person and finding yourself, energetically, but also the way we word it so they can see themselves in that job. And so that's why you have to take the time to really know what that is for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so then the second step after you do that is really just the process of taking someone through the hiring process. And for that, I created this process that's so streamlined that if you already have someone on your team, they can do the process for you, and you just come to the end and pick your person. And I know that sounds really crazy, but when I first started doing this for some of the high level people, my team and I were finding the people for them. And we literally were going through this process, and my team did it for so many people that we created the step-by-step, all of the worksheets, the templates, swipe files, exactly what to say when, how to say it. And we put it all together in here so that anyone could hand this to their team and they could go through this process.
So so I can take a temperature, like put a 3 in if like the thought of hiring somebody, writing an ad, where to post it, sifting through all of them, all of that time, it feels overwhelming. And like, wow, part of why you're resisting hiring somebody is literally just like, I don't even know the right words. I don't want to say the wrong words. I don't want to bring in the wrong person. So like, this is a huge time saver and ultimately a money saver to have your process.
Yes, exactly. And there's a lot of sorting and venting happening beforehand.
Venti
Vetting the people. And literally we take it step by step so that you can go yes, no. And what do I do with the no's? And how do I send a nice, kind, from the heart rejection? It's all written out for you like that.
Wow.
A lot of people, I'll tell you, it's frightening. It's very frightening when you've never done it before, but it's just because you've never done it before. Once you do it, you can be very kind in your rejections, and you can be very open and honest with the people as you're going through, as if they're a good fit or not. Because that's really ultimately they want to know. If they're not a good fit, they appreciate knowing so they can go look for something else.
Totally. Or like the worst thing is that most people do is they just ignore them and they don't get back to people. And it's like
ghosting.
Ugh.
Yeah. And so then they're like, I don't know. Am I in the lineup? I don't know if I should apply over here. It's very frustrating for someone trying to find a job. So we keep everything up. And so everyone knows along the way. And then the last piece is really, that's a little bit different from mine, is that everyone is pre-qualifying themselves as they're going through the process. So I've learned so much about the characteristics that most people are looking for. So what I have you do is create a framework around what it is for you. And then as they go through the process, you are looking for those characteristics. So the resume is awesome, but they have to have jumped over every hurdle and showing that they have the different characteristics before you match the resume and you together to make sure that you have that powerhouse person. And I'll tell you what, the person who like you go, I think this might be it. 9 times out of 10, they jump over every hurdle so easily. It's very clear to you at the end that they're the right person.
Yeah. And I mean, just to clarify, so obviously we talked about like, you know, having somebody put like what kind of crystal they like, but it's so much more than that. It's so much more than just their Myers-Briggs test. It's so much more than sending their resume. And so this proven process is like everything. And we've gone through something kind of similar. I bet yours is even better what we did, because you know, when we were hiring team members, my team member did this kind of process, and I was very hands off when it came to hiring our next team members. So like, imagine like hiring your first person and that person can take care of all the other people. Like, hello. It's the gift that keeps on giving.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So so my whole program is really, it takes you by the hand and it's not so scary. And, you know, the thing that we're talking about here is really hiring someone locally. Like when I say local, I mean within your own country, but a lot of people sometimes are looking for overseas as well. And so I even have that in the program. You can do either way, whatever it is that you're looking for. And it's a little bit different process when you're hiring overseas, but for someone who's very, very just beginning to start out, you absolutely can find some stellar people overseas. And for growth, it's usually better to have someone local, but if that is not in the cards for you, there are options out there.
Yeah. And I mean, I've seen people who thought that they could never find somebody, and it turns out like one of their mom friends is like the most amazing human and like eager to get like something going on, and she's like all too excited to be part of your business. So it's like,
exactly.
Sometimes you find them in the oddest place where you don't even have to go towards posting, just going through Theresa's process, you're already attracting the right people into you.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you're like, well, I just want to put it in, you know, I want to share it with my audience, or I want to share it with people that I know first, you can go through the whole process. You still create the role and responsibilities of what you want to bring someone in to do. And you're very crystal clear on what this person is for you. And then you can just share that and they can apply and still go through all the process. You don't have to post it anywhere.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. Oh, you're getting a lot of
yes, people are saying like, this is exactly what they were looking for. This is so helpful. That I really needed this today. Yeah. Cool. And all the threes of people who are overwhelmed with like the beginning stages of hiring people. So this should be really, really helpful for you all. Yes.
Awesome. Yeah. And I want to make sure people, if you're like, okay, I think this is what I want, but I don't know who to hire. That's another thing that people say all the time. That's really when you want to start with that first step of the audit that we were talking about, that you really just need to audit your time so you can really get clear on what it is that you shouldn't be doing. And that would be your very, very first step.
Yeah. I'll put that in the chat. EmilyAarons.com/time audit. It's free.
Yeah, totally free. it has a video and a worksheet. It takes you through the process. It really shows you the value of your time and the value of some of the tasks that you're probably doing that you shouldn't be doing. So, yeah.
And frankly, I kind of learned that my time was valuable after my son was born, to be honest. Like, I didn't really value my time. And so I was doing every single thing myself and telling myself the story that I couldn't afford a team member yet and all of that stuff, until I really just was like, I don't want to keep trading my time for money. And I feel like my son needs his mom to be with him and be present and not be like my brain going like all the different things I've been doing today. So super helpful. So for people who are ready to like take that next step and who are wanting to get this help and to be able to hire people the right way with the right system to get the right people, what can they do? Like, so tell them a little bit more about what Team Up really looks like.
Yeah. Do you want me to show you?
I would love that.
Okay.
And for those of you, again, if you're just audio only, we'll have the links below. You can look at your own pace. But for the video, we are right around the 45-minute mark. And so if you can look like the behind the scenes of what Team Up Like a Boss looks like. And I personally am a proud affiliate for this program because I've worked with Theresa. She's working with my team next week to do some like high level stuff. But this, I feel like this is the best program for everybody starting out, hiring your first or your next team. And there's no other program that I would endorse that I love as much as this one.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Yeah. Well, the thing with this is I set it up to be so like hand holding because of the fear factor. In fact, when I finished the product, my team goes through it and is checking, to make sure that there's no mistakes in the edits or anything like that. And they were laughing about how I said, now see, you did that and no one died. I really understand the fear, right? Yeah. And I'm very nurturing in the program and helping them step by step, like, okay, next step, right? So the way I set this up is even at the very, very top, you'll see that there's a search videos. This is a really cool feature so that this is through Searchy. Do you have Searchy?
Oh yeah, I have it in my membership, Mastering Ascension. Yeah.
Yeah. So what's really cool here is that you can type in a term where you're like, oh, I saw this somewhere. And I remember Theresa talking about XYZ and I don't remember what it was. Well, when you type it in here, it not only pulls up the exact video that I said that word, but it also, when you click it, takes you to that point in the video and starts playing it right then and there. So it's a huge, huge time saver. So
huge. I know that's how I am too. Like visually, I might remember, but like she said that one word, and I know it's there somewhere. Yeah, this is a behind the scene. Yeah,
right. And I don't know how to make that go away because it's weird on my big screen here. So
yeah, I know.
I can't click on what I'm supposed to click on. So it's weird. Oh, wait, maybe I do it this way. If I go up to the top, no, it won't let me click on the button, but that's okay. We'll just leave it up. Okay. So this is the way I have it set up in here is that you very, very first start with the big picture, because I want everyone to understand my philosophy and exactly what it is that they're going to be doing. So that's what the welcome section is. And then we do a whole preparation for hire. And this is really where you're getting your clarity and you're really understanding what is the thing I need to hire for and where are we going to start. Yeah. And then we dive into if you're hiring someone local. So if you're going to hire someone local, it takes you all the way through the whole process, including a whole onboarding process on getting them set up so that once they get in the door, they're going to hit the ground running, right?
And these are short, direct modules. There's not a lot of like fluff and wasted time. Just going to right into the point. Here's what you do.
Right. It's just step one, do this. You can literally watch the video, do that one section, and then once the ball's rolling, go to the next section. And once the ball's rolling, go to the next section. You don't have to sit and watch hours and hours. You can do this step by step. It's holding your hand. Yeah. And the same for hiring overseas. I have a whole section for that. It's a little bit different process. And then I have a little bit about personality testing, which we all love. And then I even have behind the scenes, I take people behind the scenes and they watch me do the hiring process of what goes right, what goes wrong, and what to do and how I handled it. And so it's got everything in there so you can actually see it in action. I actually do the process for you.
Yeah, so everyone's like, hold my hand. I need this. Thank you for this. Thank you for this. And that's why I wanted to have Theresa here. I'm like, there are so many people who need it, because like, yes, I love to talk about woo woo, but I also know, like, I know my people. Like, you also need to know some of the left brain, some of the strategy. Like, literally take my hand and tell me how to hire somebody. Like, I get the energy, attracting the people, but I'm here for down to earth approach to woo and biz, not just all woo and high vibes, right? Like, literally, how do you actually do the thing? So to get more information, to join the program, it's emilyaarons.com/team up. I put it on my video, but you can also just type it into your browser after this is over. And we'll be happy to take your questions live. If you have any questions about hiring, if you have questions about the program, if you have questions about, I don't know, what other things you have questions about.
What crystals to use when hiring.
Yeah.
That's actually probably a good question. What's a good attraction?
That's a really good question. Honestly, I would probably go with something simple like rose quartz, because it's your heart, right? You're attracting something that is where you want to give and receive unconditional love. And you could probably program a crystal, not probably, you can program a crystal when you're in this hiring process for sure. That's like the woo side of it. I know, like, and so the other thing is, like, Theresa works with people from all different levels. So this is for people who are definitely getting stuck with hiring their first or their next powerhouse team member. And like, this is the most amazing. And it's also like, I'm just going to call it what it is. It's so affordable. Like, most courses are thousands of dollars. Every online course out there is like $2,000 or $3,000. And this is only a couple $100s. So I think that's like the huge benefit, because when you're starting out, like, hey, not only do you think you can't afford hiring a person join your team,
you can't afford the help.
Yeah, you can't afford to get the help to get the help.
Exactly. Well, that's actually why I did this. And I've had so many people go through the course and they're saying, you could have charged thousands of dollars. And if I had put a coaching piece on the back end, I could have. Anyone who goes through my coaching group coaching program, they do get access to this. And it's just, this was just something I pulled out that I made it so ninja step by step. But I wanted to make it affordable for someone who's just like, you know what, I'm scared to death. I have absolutely no idea how to do this. I don't want to make a mistake. And so I want someone to hold my hand. And so that's why I created it this way.
Yeah. And I will say, I have paid Theresa thousands and thousands of dollars to go and get her coaching, and it's worth every penny and more. And I was like, you should double your price. Like, it should be more. Like, her coaching, her coursework, like the hand holding is second to none. I also know many people who have paid thousands of dollars for other team coaching programs and who've spent years reading all the books, and they have said to Theresa, and she's probably not going to say it because I'll brag about it for her, but they have told her, like, I've done all the things and like nothing was making sense. It only clicked when I started working with you. So yeah, that's how I really believe in your work, and I am happy to endorse you.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I do get that. Part of the thing is that when you read all the books and you look at and you get training from someone who's a corporate trainer, they're really talking about corporate.
Yeah.
And what I teach is completely 100% geared for digital brands, people who have an online business, course creators, coaches, people who have memberships. And I understand that world so well because people have opened up the curtain and allowed me to, that's why I always say I never have any judgment, because it allowed me to see behind the scenes. And many times they're afraid, a lot of ways with the big brands, I'm the best kept secret because they don't want anyone to know that they were messy behind the scenes. So the way I am found out is they, will share me in masterminds that between each other, like, oh, this is what I did. But that's totally fine. I completely understand that they have, built this big image and, that's what they're working towards. But the truth is, though, that when you start and you get someone who's stellar right from the beginning, life is so much easier and you can grow so much faster. And so that's why I created this.
Yes. And Annie said, I've wanted to work with Theresa for 2 years, but I thought you were out of my reach.
Oh, thank you, Annie. That's so sweet. I don't want to be out of your reach. So I hope I'm not out of your reach now with this product.
No, and Annie is a dear friend. She's also in my mastermind program. So we're working really closely together. And, you know, she's working on putting herself more out there, getting things done that she's been saying she's going to do. And I really feel like for people at that level too, you're like, I am going to make this year my best year ever. This, I think, is a really huge component of it. So thank you for being here, Theresa. Thank you for giving us your time. It's invaluable. These 5 beliefs are, I know, resonating with people so much. And certainly if you're here listening to the podcast, I would love to take this even deeper with you. You can take a screenshot, tag me and Theresa on your Instagram stories. We love to connect with you one-on-one. And we will have a downloadable PDF that has all of these beliefs, all of the links, and all the different things that we've been talking about on this episode, as well with the download when we broadcast it, which is going to come out in a couple of weeks. So even if you've already watched it with us, or you joined us live, or you watched the replay, there's even more that's going to come along with it as well. So make sure you grab that download as well. Thank you so much, Theresa.
Oh, thank you. And just in closing, I just wanted to say that I totally understand the fear. And I'll say what I said at the beginning, that we spend a lot of time trying to figure out how to run our businesses and start our businesses. And hiring is scary, absolutely. But it's just another skill that you need to have in your tool belt. You're going to need it eventually. And the sooner you get it, the less pain you're going to have. So that's why I really encourage people to, you know, whether it's with me or someone else, that they really do learn how to bring on the best team members. And of course, I think my way is the best way.
I think it is too. Let everybody know where they can listen to your podcast, how they can start following you, where they can find you.
Absolutely. So the name of my podcast is Streamlined and Scaled. I talk a lot about productivity and being efficient and leadership and team building and getting your team to the next level. They can also follow me on Instagram at Streamlined and Scaled, and my website is at Streamlined and Scaled as well, or is streamlinedandscaled.com.
All right, I'm putting all in the comments as well.
Yeah.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you everybody who's joined us. It's been so much fun chatting with you. If you have questions later, you can always reach out to Theresa on Instagram, on Facebook, and thank you all. Thank you, Theresa.
Thank you, Emily. Love you.
Love you.